In today's video, I want to talk about all the books I read during the month of December. So welcome to my December reading wrap-up. And for this video, I will be doing things a little bit differently than I usually do. Usually I grab all the books and I hold them up. However, I've been moving things a lot in the house and cleaning up stuff and decluttering. So I was struggling finding all of the books and I decided I would simply put the covers on screen. But do know that I own most of these books. So let's get started with the first two books I read during December were God's Grave and Dark Down by J. Kristoff, finishing the Nevernight trilogy. I love Mia Corvir. She's such a badass, stubborn character with all of her flaws, and I love that. For me, the Nevernight trilogy was a little bit of coming home. I actually started the first book, Nevernight, last year, loved it so much that I recommended it to all of my friends. We were going to do a book club about it, but that never happened. And I actually kept off reading those books because I hoped the book club would happen, but it didn't. So yeah, I finally read them. They were as good as I hoped they would be. I gave them a 5 stars because 4.5 is impossible on Goodreads. I love the trilogy. The trilogy on its own, I would give a total of 5 stars because it's amazing. It's one of my favorite trilogies I've read so far. So if you start reading Nevernight, it is kind of this like assassin's school. She wants to become the best there is in order to take revenge on someone. In book 1, this is very heavily the plot line. Something else happens, but like her goal stays the same. And then in book 2, something happens. She becomes a pirate queen and all of a sudden everything changes as well. The Pirate Queen is not part of the main story, well, kind of partially, but it's not like the main plotline that we're going to follow, thank goodness. I really enjoyed J. Kristoff's writing style. I loved Empire of the Vampire, and I also loved the Nevernight trilogy. So if you want to pick this trilogy up, start with book 1. If you love it, then you will love the rest. It's not for everyone. This is by no means a YA fantasy trilogy. This is very much adult fantasy. It has cursing, it has like... It's not super romanticized, it has a lot of the gruesome details, like if you read the first lines of book 1, you will know if you like it or not. The next book I read was A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley, and I really enjoy these books. These are lighter romantasy books, and the only thing in these books really happening is the romance. Of course, there is a little bit more backstory and something else going on, but we all know this is a romantasy book, and I quite enjoy them. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. We follow one of the friends of the main character of the first book. She's a very powerful witch. She's a sporty witch. She's also a tall witch. And the main character is actually being wooed by the demon. And the particular demon that we follow is actually the mentor of the demon from book 1. So all of the characters from book 1, 2, and 3 are related to each other. They are friends, co-workers, etc. And I really enjoy these books. If you're looking for a lighter romantasy read, I could highly recommend it. After that, I finally read Bonesmith by Nikki Pau Preto. This book was recommended to me here on YouTube a bunch of times, and I'm super grateful that I was able to buy a physical, like special edition, Fairy Loot edition, secondhand for really cheap also. And I absolutely love this book. I am very much someone who loves necromancers, dark magic, and this book had it for me. Like, the main character is a bonesmith. We follow her along as in the beginning of the book she needs to like complete a trial to graduate. Doesn't really go the way it's supposed to, and she gets sent to an outpost. And at that outpost, it seems like everything is quiet. And that outpost is actually on the edge of a barrier of like a physical wall that is built to keep something outside of where she lives in the kingdom, and then of course the outside of the kingdom. And you discover as the book goes along what is actually going on. Something happens due to which she actually goes to the other side of that barrier, etc. I really enjoyed this book. It is a YA book, so know that it's not like as heavy as some other fantasy books that have been written, but I really enjoyed it. It met all of my expectations. The only reason it's only a 4 star and not a 5 is because I wish it would have gone a little bit further, and I cannot wait for book 2. After that, I picked up one of my dragon books. This one was House of Dragons by Jessica Clues. We follow 5 storylines, so 5 different characters. And in the kingdom that they live, the king, the reigning king, has died. And to decide on who will follow up on him, there's actually a Hunger Games type trial that happens with one participant of the 5 houses that exist in the realm. So from each house, someone is sent to compete in these trials. They are completely different people from each other. Some know each other, some don't. Completely different characters, completely different personalities, and I really enjoyed that. At the start of the book, you notice that not everything is happening as it's supposed to happen, and that is the way that it continues on. Nothing is what it seems. The main reason I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars and not a 5 out of 5 stars is that I felt some elements just went a little bit too fast and a little bit too easy, and no decent explanation was given. Now, they do hint at the end of book 1 that there will be a book 2 or maybe even 3, I don't know. And the thing is that I hope if there ever comes a book 2, that it explains some of these elements, because some of the things just went a little bit fast and it felt rushed. If you read the book, for me, it was like you get the introduction of the characters, the challenges start, you have, I think, 3 or 4 challenges, and at the last challenge, that's when I felt like things got a little bit rushed in the book, like it had to have some sort of cohesive ending. I liked a little bit of mystery that's in it, but I want to know more about it. I just wished it was fleshed out a little bit more, and I hope book 2 will be as good or better even. After that, we have Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson, and this book I actually DNF'd. Not because I didn't like the scene setting of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I in fact really loved it. I just cannot deal with the narrator voice that is used in this book. The narrator is super entitled, is really like, I'm better than everyone else, saying things to your readers such as, I'm not gonna explain it further, you wouldn't understand anyway. Oh, by the way, I own this thing, like it's a nice side business. We don't give a hoot. Stop doing this. Like, this is super annoying to me, and apparently this is normal for Brandon Sanderson books, and I just cannot. So if this is the way that Brandon Sanderson writes all of his books, apparently this narrator even has a name, etc., then this is the first and last book that I read by Brandon Sanderson. And I stopped reading at chapter 9, which is 10-20% in the book. I just couldn't anymore. After the first few chapters, I was already like hesitating, like, am I going to continue? And then at chapter 8, I was just like, I'm done with this. So I finished the chapter, put the book aside, and decided to not read it again. Maybe in the future I will pick it up again. It's a very big if and a very big maybe, because I truly know and believe that if the storyline on its own, without the stupid narrator was in it, I would have finished that book in a day. Like, I really want to read the story, I want to know how it continues, but the narrator style is so off-putting. So yeah, that was a DNF and a 1 star on Goodreads for me. The second to last book that I finished in December was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. We continue on the same trend that was already written in Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I really loved. And I felt that the book 2 continues on the same line, but kind of lacks in story terms. We continue on the story with the 2 main characters. I'm not going to go too much into detail because you don't know this until the end of book 1. And in book 2, we actually go on a quest to find one of the fairy doors that leads to the fairy realm where one of these characters needs to go to. I felt this was a little bit more of like a detective type situation than a discovery situation, and yeah, I did enjoy it, as in I did read it rather fast and it was enjoyable, but I felt I didn't connect as much to it and I didn't love it as much as I did with the first book, and also the ending was like meh. So we'll see how it continues in book 3, because book 3 has also been announced. I don't have a date just yet, or I don't know it anyways, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing this series. It's really like, it's fun to read, it's interesting, the writing style is kind of a journal type writing style, which I personally enjoy. And I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. And then the final book that I read in 2023 was My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. I was recommended this book because I do enjoy a good romantasy book, and I did enjoy this one as well. So we follow a girl who is looking into finding a new place to live because rent is too expensive in the current place, and she finds a listing on Craigslist without pictures, seems a bit shabby, but she goes to look and it's this incredible apartment for a very low price. At first, she doesn't know that her roommate is a vampire, of course not, but the title of the book says it, so we all know it, she just doesn't. And we follow the two characters along as they get to know each other, as he slowly but surely gives her hints that he's a vampire. Soon she discovers it, and then as it goes along. This is a rather slow-burning, like, romance book. It's not super slow, but only at the end things actually happen. So it is not a YA book. This is very much an adult romantasy book. It's very day in the life. It's not super fantasy based. It's really casual read. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars because I really liked reading it. I just didn't feel like it was like a book that is a must read or something. So this book is definitely for you if you want a lighter romantasy read, because it involves a vampire, of course, and there's other aspects in it that are a bit fantasy as well. But if you're looking into more a medieval romantasy, like more high fantasy with romance involved, then this isn't the book for you. These were all 8 books that I read during the month of December. I really did have a good time reading as many books, especially with the holidays. It was easier for me to get more books into my month. Usually I read about 1 book a week. Now it was an average of 2 books a week, which is really nice for me. And of course, I would love to know from you, have you read one of these books already? If so, what did you think of them? And also, of course, what were your December reads? Feel free to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I make new videos every week and I would love to have you here for every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!